Hello folks and welcome to our weekly program Conversation Oasis at Radio Robin Hood, coming to you from the restaurant Kasviskeidas here in the city center of Turku. I'm Nana Blomqvist, I'm a junior researcher at Åbo Academy and I will host this program, even though we have our regular host here, but he seems to be willing to pass this responsibility over to me. But David is here, David Mawby.
Quite right, have a good reason for passing responsibility over you. That happens in half an hour's time.
And then we have Jalal, who is the restaurant owner here, and we have Sami, who is a fundraiser at Greenpeace, and Valtteri, who is also a fundraiser at Greenpeace. And we have Ville, who is almost a graduated student, but not quite yet. Soon he will. And Simo here on my right hand side, who is a restless student. So guys, since we have our new guests here, fundraising for Greenpeace, there's something you want to talk about regarding fundraising.
Yeah, maybe just that. It's the kind of job that really differs from many others, and we are there in the streets almost every day. On the streets or the doors, and basically, everybody sees us, but everybody don't actually think what it is like to be there. So it's
and people have a really a negative image of this work. Like I think people generally think that it's like they always ask is it hard? Is it what's the the reaction of people? Mm-hmm. But I find that it's like the reputation is I don't know why it's so bad. I really enjoy this work, and I think people are behaving really good on the streets.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So you think the reputation is not fair? For the job.
Yeah, I'd say it's exaggerated. People think it's worse.
People
think it's more worse than it is. So what makes it nice?
People make it nice. I think most people they behave. They're really polite, and it's really nice to when you talk to somebody and you hear have a nice day at least 50 times a day. It actually makes your day better, I think. Yeah. And it's I get to talk about the stuff I like all the time, which is rare. You don't really get to talk about environmental issues and climate change all day long, but in this work you can do that.
So what is most crucial right now, you think, when it comes to environmental issues? Or, of course, we can narrow it down and we can broaden up, but what are you burning for in this?
Well, I could say that, considering, we're doing the work for Greenpeace, the biggest thing that we are talking about is Arctic area, because we're working in, Nordic countries. We have Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway with us, and that's one of the reasons why we are focusing on the Arctic area. Is that Norway is one of the biggest. It's the only country that is actually putting more oil companies to drill oil in the Arctic area. That's why we are focusing on it.
Mm. Oh, I see. So what is the situation exactly now?
Well, last spring Norway gave permission for 13 oil companies to drill oil or search for oil in the first place. 13, yeah, right. From the Arctic region, and right now they're searching for oil, which is destroying the sea bottom. They have these seismic explosions, which move the bottom of the ocean, and they're searching for oil at the moment. And the situation is that Greenpeace sued Norway last spring, and we're having the trial next November.
Oh, I see.
And
suing for exactly what? For destroying the sea, or for?
It's based on their own constitutional law, considering the equality between generations, I think, and also the Paris Climate Agreement that considers about carbon emissions.
Yeah, if we want to stay in the Paris Agreement limits, we have to from the oil we know that is in the reserves, we have to keep 2/3 in the ground. We can't drill those. So searching for new oil is like really, it's breaking the Paris Agreement, and it's like we can't be doing that if we want to lower the emissions and stop using fossil fuels.
So the target for the court case is Norway.
Yeah, and Norway's constitution is
and
the
their government.
The government.
suing the government.
But isn't it Greenpeace mostly about global environment? So if Norway doesn't produce that oil, some other country has to produce more, and because of human needs, we don't have that much of renewable energy yet for all our needs. How is it?
We have enough oil reserves for all human needs for like many years to come, and there's this thing called peak oil, which means that the like usage of fossil fuels and oil especially has to like reach its limit by 2020 if we want to reach the climate agreement. So we have to start reducing the amount of fossil fuels we use by 2020. And after that, we can't be drilling for new oil. We have to stop and reduce the amount.
I'm pro this global Greenpeace idea, but I want to make a point that it's not that so easy to take one dimension of the matter and then forget about missing.
I would like to add that which was maybe not yet mentioned, but the Arctic area is also kind of special. If there's a drilling accident and the oil spills to the sea, it will be really hard to clean up, and also the environment there would be irreversibly destroyed. So there's also this local environmental
So you
care.
mean, like, for example, if you compare it to the oil drilling in the Middle East, it's just a different. The consequences would be different.
And if you think about the like atmosphere or like climate there, it's like minus 30 degrees. There are moving icebergs that they actually have to like draw with big ships to not to hit the oil drilling or oil searching ships or ferries.
And one big thing is also that it is a completely kind of like a new area, and kind of like it's kind of like how do you say it, periaate, kind of like a and sort of like a when you like an ennakkotapaus, like an, how do you say?
Ennakkotapaus, like a court case basically.
Yes, there's a lovely term for it. I'm fighting folks for that one. Yes, ennakkotapaus, precedent.
Like setting like the rules for the coming age. What will we do with the Arctic area? Will we protect it, or will we just go like a gold rush
That's
or
a
oil
very good
rush?
legal point. To set the legal standard for what we can do and what we cannot. Valtteri.
And I think in the world right now there's this attitude of like having the cake and eating it. Like you're we're signing all these agreements that limit our use of fossil fuels, but at the same time we're searching for new oil and new ways to use fossil fuels, and it's like you're trying to be really ecological, and then you're doing the exact opposite thing. There's like so much greenwashing going on right now that we have to like stop these.
As we're using lovely phrases here, I think there is this wonderful thing that says that where there's a will, there's a way. The trouble is that these big corporations, Shell, BP and the rest, they don't have the will. They're only interested in giving a fat profit for their shareholders, and they couldn't frankly give a damn about the environment. That is the bottom line. And if I may add to this one other thing, for as long as I can remember, oil exploration has always brought with it accidents. I remember as a small boy in England remembering the Torrey Canyon disaster, where a large area of southern England was devastated by oil beaches. Wherever you go looking for oil, you will have oil spills because accidents happen. But unfortunately today we are blinded by the corporate-owned media into believing that yes, there is still room for fossil fuels on this planet, when we obviously know that this is not an infinite resource, it is a finite resource. And one day, even in Saudi Arabia and Iran, the oil will run out. So it's about time that we looked at the great swathes of land of North Africa. Can you imagine if you had solar panels across the nations of Northern Africa and all the transmission lines to give that power to the rest of Africa, and let alone to Europe? We wouldn't need to look at oil again. But oh no, you won't read that in any newspaper, and certainly no corporation will take it up for a whole variety of reasons, because they are drunk on oil.
Yeah, I would like to say one thing related to that, how corporations care about the environment. There are kind of like, I would say, like two dimensions. Some corporations actually start to care about environment because the consumers are so aware. But also there's this other dimension, which is the greenwashing, where when there's an accident, for example, the first thing you hire is a consult to manage the reputation consults. So it's kind of dangerous. And also there are these things called environmental responsibility reports. It's very important that the reports are good. They are like commercial stuff. They are big and they are usually very complex, and they use their own terminology. And the worst thing is that they may use the same terminology that exists, but they use it with their own agenda and own meaning. So they are sort of like washing the words, which is very dangerous, because they might say that they have this like ecological or their plant, for example, palm oil plantations will increase biodiversity. Biodiversity
the lovely word they love to put in all their reports.
So that's dangerous. That's kind of a big danger.
Whitewashing the words.
Yeah, and like a good example is that Shell, the oil company, made a really groundbreaking documentary about climate change 25 years ago. And they failed to do anything said on the documentary. They didn't just change their ways of how they produce oil and the ways they operate at all. But the documentary is, you can find it. It's climate of concern.
Shell have been very good at making documentaries since the 1950s. You should look at some of the films they made in the 1960s about oil exploration and raping the planet. Well, but that was then, and this is now, of course.
They have done a good job in Nigeria.
Yeah. What was that job?
Wasting a lot of oil in their kind of shed-land or wetland.
Yeah. And they have
huge waste.
Yeah.
Huge waste.
And they have helped the corruption there hugely. They're really in the political system of Nigeria.
Yeah. So the bottom line is actually that they actually do care about their consumers, that they think that they care about the environment. That's the most important thing, that the consumers think that they care, so they basically kind of care of their environmental reputation. Is very
corporate
important.
Image.
But goodwill of the corporate.
Yes, the corporate image is the A and O of everything. Yeah.
So it's balancing with
we've painted for you two guys a very grim scenario, I think. So how do you counter if someone comes up to you in the street and puts this to you, that this argument that no, it's a waste of time, these corporations, they rule us, we can't do anything. What can Greenpeace constructively do? What's it doing at the moment?
Well, basically, what we can do about big companies, for example Shell, doing this kind of article drilling, let's say. 2 years ago there was a campaign that we got 7 million people to loudly tell Shell to go out of the Arctic area because of the people asking for that. There was also oil prices went down, but also that a big group of consumers, if you like to say that, they get aware of this kind of stuff because of our campaign. Then it might make the Shell corporate think that now they saw us.
They got caught, busted.
And Shell left the Arctic Circle. They're not drilling oil there anymore, and it was partly because of Greenpeace's campaign.
Yeah.
What I admire about Greenpeace is that it knows when to strike. It knows how to get in front of the TV cameras, which is not easy. Let me tell you, it's not easy.
You know how to do that too.
Not anymore. I'm on the blacklist. But you know, that's like having big sort of posters and things over the Eiffel Tower and so on. Going into the meetings with these blue-collared tie, blue-tied robots and screwing up their meetings. Yes, I'm all in favour of it. But be peaceful, of course.
But we are
arrested.
well. Greenpeace is peaceful. We have like two principles, which is that we are non-violent and
non-anonymous.
Non-anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't break things. We don't hurt we don't. If you're drilling oil, we're not actually breaking down your equipment. We just come there with our banderoles and we say that this is not all right. But we're not breaking stuff. We're not being violent, and that's something that media doesn't say.
Yeah, that's actually something that we actually have to explain a lot to people. It's a really common misunderstanding that we do that kind of because we really easily get mixed up with other environmental organizations.
Just a sec though, you say you have to explain this to people. Are you satisfied with the way the state media and the newspapers in this country report to what Greenpeace does?
I understand why they do that. Why they give the image they do. Like it's because it's a.
That wasn't my
scandalous.
question.
Yeah, then it clicks.
You're being diplomatic
That wasn't my question. I asked you, are you happy with it?
Well, there's nothing that makes me happy. Let's say that way.
You're smiling, so you must be happy.
But yeah, it's well, I don't think it's not objective. They don't give they don't say what's Greenpeace agenda. They don't tell their side of the story. They only tell the corporate side of the story. So I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I would say also that it's kind of like a media game in a way. Greenpeace also tactically uses kind of provocative campaigns also to get more attention, and that has maybe a price also in a way in people's attitudes. Some people get more provoked, but you get a reaction anyway, and you get these things on the table, and that's I think it's a good strategy anyway.
And at least all the people they know the name. Greenpeace, they have heard it somewhere, and that's easy thing to begin with.
Yeah, and the issues also. For example, in the case of I can't remember her name, but this one activist who Sinisaarla, who
arrested in Russia.
Yeah. So in that case, for example, there was a lot of publicity and the issue was also brought to the table.
Yeah.
You are listening to Conversation Oasis here on Radio Robin Hood. This is a weekly discussion program coming to you from the Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. Our panel today consists of me, Nana Blomqvist, a junior researcher at Lobo Academy, who is hosting this program, and David, who should be hosting, but he has left this responsible over to me. And
he's the producer, I suppose.
And Javal, who owns this restaurant, and Sami and Walter, who is fundraisers for Greenpeace, and Ville, who is almost finished student, and
Simo, who's almost finished the person.
Restless student.
Restless Simo.
We have been talking about the oil drilling in the Arctic and a lawsuit against Norway because of this, and also media coverage, and we could actually continue on this media coverage theme. And we have been covering if this fundraisers we have with us today is happy with the media coverage of Greenpeace. And Ville, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I would give another example. I was also a fundraiser to Church Foreigner, Kirkon ulkomaanapu, and just recently there was this Helsingin Sanomat this article about Somalia's situation with bad droughts, and in the article it was just mentioned that some water trucks deliver also water there because people are otherwise dying, and then it was mentioned that these water trucks were actually paid there by Kirkon ulkomaanapu, which was of course delightful for me to hear, but also I think that article was pretty like how would I say, neutral. It just told the facts. But if it would have been about Greenpeace, I think it would maybe be written in a different way. Usually there are like more conflicts maybe associated with Greenpeace, which might lead also the reporting of situations to more conflict-seeking reporting.
Yeah, so basically, even if you guys who are raising funds for Greenpeace, you say like there's two principles: non-violence and what was the other principle of Greenpeace?
There's volunteering listed.
Non-anonymous. Yeah, those
Anonymity.
two principles, but the media coverage is covering making reports about Greenpeace that makes it sound like a more violent organization than it is.
I remember one case about Greenpeace in Germany once that I read from the media that there was like activists on boats and police was after these activists, and then finally the pursuit was ended by Greenpeace boats running to each other and turning to side so that the boats would crash to each other. I had this from several medias, but then I also read about the same case that actually the police boats, they pushed them to side, those boats. So I don't actually know what happened. Exactly. And I don't know which to trust.
Yeah, and that's like what happened with Sinisaarela was the case that they thought, well, media said that there was shootings and it became violent. But what actually happened was it was, I think, Norway's border control that came and shot into the water like varoituslaukaus.
Yeah, like a warning shot.
Warning shots. And media made that like way bigger. Media told that like there were shootings.
Well, they love to sell their ghastly wares by sensational headlines. I think we all know that, and if you don't, then I think you really should go and read a few of these papers and check the lies they publish. But there's one question I have to I want to put to you, to all three of you who've involved in do people actually ask you where does the money go, and what do you say?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, often.
Yeah.
And how do you answer? What about church aid? Because after all, about 80% of the population pay church taxes to the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and they might ask the question, why should I give any more? I'm giving it in taxes already.
Yeah, that's the usual question, and then I have to explain to them that actually church foreign aid is nowadays it's like it's not part of the church anymore. It's the name comes from the historical background when actually Finland was getting foreign aid, and church was the actor in there. But later on, when things got better here, they started to send foreign aid to the other way, and church foreign aid is nowadays like a separate organization. But they still get like some donations from churches, but also it's very like it's quite.
So imagine now, excuse me, imagine now I'm in the street and you just come in, you want to get some money out of it. I'll ask you the following question. How much of the money I'm going to give you goes for your administrative costs?
Yeah, they usually ask that, and then I can always say to them that Church Foreign Aid has been around for a long time, and the organization has one of the best rates of the how much of the help goes actually to the
Is the bookkeeping?
And it is.
Yeah,
how many percent?
Yeah, that would be good.
It was more. Maybe I can't remember anymore. It was like 1 year ago when I was doing it, but
it
was over 80%. It was over 80%.
Come on, Valtteri.
What David says it's been my question too, because, for example, Red Cross is collecting money for Africa for famine and drought and hungry people, and then they want to send food in their porridge, like one probably a small dish is less than $1, but they make a meeting in some European or American country, which in a hotel, 5-star hotel, so the cost for one guest is like huge, more than a few hundred or a few thousands. So that's the question. This money we give, how it's gonna be expended, and is there absolute transparency in expenditure?
Is the bookkeeping available, like for anybody to read?
Yeah, I think it's freely available in the internet. Yeah.
So basically, that could be checked up.
Yeah.
For Greenpeace too. It's you can read it online. But what's like the difficulty for Greenpeace when talking about how much money is going where?
The percentages.
The percentages. Yeah, it's harder because like when you talk about humanitarian aid, you can say like a school costs this amount of money, water for 1 year costs this amount of money, a book costs this, and you can't say like stopping oil drilling in the Arctic costs X amount of money. It's harder to like pinpoint the exact sums.
So it have to be in terms of travel costs and
so you're not
hiring a boat. Like these kinds of costs would so that could be pointing at whatever activities.
I would like to point quickly before I forget that there was one mistake what you said earlier, David. You said that when I want the money, because when I was in the street, I didn't actually want the money. My first objective was to tell people about the situation of the world and give them opportunity if they want to then vote with their own money. I didn't because that's the difference in that you can go to the streets with this attitude that you want the money and you don't actually care about the discussion, you just want the contract, but I didn't have that. Actually, my motivation why I went out there was, before I forget to tell it, was because of the same year the Finnish government cut very roughly from church.
Nothing I said should be interpreted as being that I in any way want to put down the work they're doing. On the contrary, I raised my hat to all three of you. I tried it once a long time ago in another cause and know how difficult it is. But I'm just saying, like Jale said, that it's good. You have to have those facts at your fingertips. You have to be transparent because we demand that the corporations that are raping this planet be transparent with what they do. So therefore, if we fight against them, we need to be as equally transparent.
I will give Valtteri space here now.
Okay.
So, Ville, your turn will come.
Yeah.
And I think Naomi Klein said it well. Like she said that even if you don't like the way Greenpeace is organized, like the organizational side, you should join Greenpeace because it's so big and they have influence. So when the organization is really huge, then of course there's money in the organization part. Of course you have to run the organization, but because we are so big, we can fight the Arctic oil drilling, we can fight deforestation, and we can really be
big player.
Yeah, big players. And if there were 100 different small environmental organizations which have really small organizational costs, they would be fighting each other, and that wouldn't help anybody. So I think that there's a bad side to being big, but it's better to be big than to have several different.
So Ville, you wanted to say
something? This is a very important question I have in my mind.
You guys are not very polite.
If it's possible.
Well, Jale, you can say it.
Yeah, but a few months ago, I had this friend who was protesting for this nuclear power station in north of Finland. But after the protest, she was detained for a few days, I think, or 48 hours. But afterwards, I saw her. She was very depressed. What do you do for these people who gets disturbed mentally, or what do you do? Do you leave them? Do you miss them, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you mean if someone gets shocked because of
shocked or panicked or whatever? So
one of our activists, you mean, or something like that?
In general, this kind of organization, what do they do for this kind of people?
Well, the point is that actually one of the principles is that you have to be a volunteer to go there. So even though you wear Greenpeace vest on, you are not actually on their list or anything.
You don't get paid.
Yeah, you don't get paid. You're it's everybody's own responsibility to go there.
All right, folks. So you have been listening to our Conversation Oasis program that comes to you weekly from Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. This was all for today. Thanks to our panel that consists of our regular host David and Jalal, Sami and Valtteri, and Ville, and our silent but restless student Simo here on my right hand side.
Handling all the technical side.
And me, Nana Blomqvist, who has been hosting this program basically today. So you hear from us next week again.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.